you got an agenda?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
just
We're
one for
gonna do
now.
a non-public, so I figured I didn't bring anything in.
So we'll open the meeting in here and then go over
Oh,
into the office.
okay.
Good evening, everyone.
Hey.
It is good.
It's that magic hour,
Yeah.
5 o'clock. Everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For tonight's agenda, we have a non-public to discuss some taxpayer requests. Then we're going to pick up the public portion of the meeting again at 5:30 to discuss fire ponds with our fire chief and planning board chair. Then get into some roundtable discussion going into the public hearing at 7. So with that, we'll probably take about 25-30 minutes and go into non-public under RSA 91A32A. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Let's see.
Anybody know who Everett J. Prescott Incorporated is?
Not heard of it.
No.
You've heard of it?
I have not.
Hi.
Good evening.
How are you?
Not bad, you?
Good. And we're back. Wow. I was going back in time to May.
Sitting there and having to eat.
Did you take my copy of the agenda?
Maybe I started writing all over it.
Oh. Stuff.
Brownfields.
Yeah.
Alright,
Oh. Oh, sorry, Ron. That probably didn't sound very good.
Here, Debbie. That was the note that you had on there.
Oh, that's alright. I remembered it.
Oh, it's already done now.
Alright.
give Ben and Cody a couple minutes to come in, cause I spoke with both of them today and they both had said that they were planning on coming, so.
Okay. Do you wanna do just the reminder stuff on the round table while we're waiting?
Sure.
Okay. Candidates night is officially October 29th at 7 PM at the Mechanic Auditorium. And, we have a pretty good response, I think 12 people have responded, I sent you guys the spreadsheet I made.
Yeah.
I have one maybe, one no, and either no response or yeses. The 275th anniversary meeting is Thursday night at 7 here. And the Brownfield, I talked to JB Mack and he said that they found some PFAS, so they need to do additional testing. And arsenic levels were a little higher than normal, so they're gonna test both properties again. They're gonna go through, the Brownfield committee's gonna have a meeting and they will pay for, I told him, he said, I need to know if it's okay to go ahead with it. I said, as long as the town doesn't have to pay for it, yes. So they're gonna do some more testing just to find out the levels and where exactly it is. So,
So that's still a part of that phase two,
yeah.
yeah.
Yep. And the next one you can say.
There's a road committee meeting tomorrow.
Oh yes, road committee meeting tomorrow at 3.
Alright, and I did have a question on trunk or treat,
Oh yeah,
for the town departments. So that's gonna be down at Memorial Park, that lower, parking lot.
yep,
Is it open to other businesses or other community members that would like to come down?
sure, why not?
Okay,
The more the merrier.
alright,
So that'll be on 10/31, right?
yes.
5 to 7, 4 to 6? What do we
I think it was
usually do?
5 to 7.
I think so too. 5 to 7, Memorial Field. Come on down, trick or treat.
And at next week's BOS meeting, we'll have the pleasure of announcing who our oldest resident in town is and presenting them with the Boston Post cane. So it'd be nice to restart that tradition and get that going. But we appreciate the submissions that we had from people. Debbie, you didn't say you got a lot, like overwhelmed with them, but maybe.
I got 2 for one person who's actually, as far as my emails that I got, is the oldest person. And then I got 3 for another person who was only 92 and the oldest person was 96 and 7 months. And then someone had said something about a Facebook post that they saw. So I called that person and they're officially a Jaffrey resident, so they weren't considered as far as that goes.
Mm.
So, yeah, so there were only really 2 people technically.
Does Jaffrey do the Boston
I
Post?
don't know. I'm not sure. So that'll be next week. A lot on the agenda next week. Okay.
How are you?
Hi. Long time no see.
I know.
Is Cody coming?
Yeah.
Okay.
Usually just in the same boat I was, waiting for a babysitter. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's footsteps.
There he is.
Oh. I was just telling you, in the same boat I was, you're waiting for a babysitter too.
Thank you, Dee, Ben, and Cody for coming in to discuss fire ponds and what direction we should go in this. Because I'd asked Cody a couple weeks ago or so to like put together a list of the dry hydrants, and we got quite a few. but it might be best practice to narrow that down and maintain, you know, only so many that are the highest producing is kind of where my thoughts are, but I'll let you guys speak first. So with that, Dee, would you like to open us up?
I'll kick us off, but
Yeah.
I think there's topics here that go multiple directions.
Yep.
We have not had a need for a fire pond in a subdivision for quite a while. The last one that I know of that was a significant and not a single property that has come up in odd ways, was back somewhere before 2010. So as a matter of fact, one of the last ones that I found was Cascade and High Range that wasn't the subdivision that I live in. And that one had two deeded cisterns. And the other one was the valley,
Up on off of Poor Farm.
yeah, what is
Yeah.
it, Valley Road?
Yeah.
It was Valley
Yeah.
Road, okay. That's the other one that's come up in fairly recent years. And both of those were, I believe the actual cisterns, the property that they're on were dedicated to the town on the subdivision plans, the same as the road was dedicated. Now that, I'm not sure has continued through the years, but, so you have an easement for the fire property, let's call it that.
Yeah, fire department access.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have the dedication of the road. Now, the acceptance of the road then goes through the select board or town vote. And that makes sense, right? We know kind of that process, but what we don't know is what happens to these fire ponds. And what I've heard is, as a member of an HOA and as part of the planning board is, well, the people who live there are responsible for that. And then I've also heard, well, that's a public service, of course it belongs to the town. And I don't know the process, and I'm not sure we have a policy on the process. And then I had also heard at one point, well, it doesn't matter because the fire trucks can't go onto private property. And so I think it's been a real interesting dynamic. And so when I reached out to Ben and Bert about fire ponds, because we have to deal with them as part of the planning board, we seem to have resolved that there is no problem with the town trucks going onto private property in the case of an emergency. And so now whether or not they want to use them becomes the issue of, are they worthy of being used, and that's a separate item for the planning board. The planning board is in a conundrum right now because we want to be very upfront with people. We've been through what we found out over the last 10 to 15 years is that the people who lived in subdivisions with fire ponds don't know they're responsible if they are, and the town, until we ran out of water, didn't really think about who was flushing these. And I think Chief Lund told me the rental to test the integrity of some of these was $10,000-$12,000 to rent to do all of them. I don't think many subdivisions can afford that, right? So I'm trying to figure out, where do we go, because as we roll out these new 42 homes, who's going to be responsible for maintaining these fire ponds? And when the road is accepted, would the fire pond be accepted with it or not? What's the expectation? And so we want to be very clear going into this next set of subdivisions, who's going to be responsible for that. Now, I understand right now, I don't believe there is a current policy on the books about how we should write this up, or what we should consider as far as the planning board. So I think currently the planning board position is, we don't think it's a bad idea for the town to move in some direction where fire ponds are considered a town resource, but we might not want to do that right away. So what's the immediate, and then what's the future of where we go? I think the way to go might be at a minimum to say that when the road is dedicated, that the fire access also be dedicated. And if it goes through NHMA, I also have a call out to them or an email out to them to say, is it appropriate then when you accept a road, or whoever accepts the road, you would add in the easement with it, if that's the route we want to go.
So what if the road isn't accepted? What if they have no intention, they wanna keep it a private road, they have no intention of dedicating?
I haven't even gotten that far yet, right?
So I feel like it should be two separate things.
The problem is, I think the easement should be there no matter what, right?
Right.
I think if you come to an intersection and on this side of the intersection is an HOA, but there's water right there, and the house that's over here isn't part of the HOA, but it's on fire, I still wanna be able to go to that.
Right,
So I think the easement to the HOA shouldn't just limit us using it for the residents there.
Yep.
It should be,
Yep.
it should be
right,
used at any, for anybody. Now, the problem with that is the HOA is gonna go, well, what the heck, we're paying, on top of our taxes, we're paying to now maintain this. So it may not be fair.
Now-
You can play devil's advocate on that.
Right, I think
all
this
day.
this is purely a political argument to some degree, of who's gonna maintain it. So like in our subdivision, when we had responsibility for the road, we had winter maintenance, but we didn't know we were responsible for more than keeping it clear, right? Now that it's a public road, will the town keep that access clear? Question mark, right? So even going, as we go further into some of these little niggly things, we just need to be aware of them. But I guess the other thing is, was there, in the days when it was decided that the subdivision would build the fire pond, was the argument that the builder and the homeowners would by default pay for that, and then the town would keep it up? I don't think we have enough history in this room to know what the original ideas were in how we set this all up. And maybe there are documents somewhere, I don't know of them.
I would agree with that. I don't